Newcastle United earned their third win in the Champions League versus Club Athletic. Next is an away trip to Brentford. Can Newcastle finally get it over the line and get their first victory away from home this season? Let's find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Share. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Share
All right, folks. How are you guys all doing? Always a pleasure, always a blessing, always a privilege to be here talking to you guys all things Toon. Look, tonight's show, we're going to do a review of the game versus Club Athletic or Atletico Bilbao. 2-0 victory. Most of you guys predicted that in the last show. I went for a 4-0, but either way, we're happy. Another 3 points on the board. I think that took us to like the sixth in the Champions League table. That's crazy. We're higher in the Champions League than we are in the Premier League. So we're doing well so far. So we'll talk a bit about that game. Did we improve since the horror show against West Ham? Were some of the things that we talked about, we wanted to see, did they happen? And that would lead us very nicely onto the match preview for the Brentford game. A game where Newcastle, just in general, obviously we haven't won an away game. But this game, for me, presents an opportunity. It presents an opportunity, and we're going to talk about it a bit more, where Brentford are good at home, pretty decent at home. They battered us last season, and they've got what looks like to be a good manager in Keith Andrews and some good replacement players for Wissa and Mbeumo, which we're going to talk about. So a win away at Brentford could signal a turnaround. We can only hope. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get we've got a lot of information on Brentford actually. We're going to bring out the old tactics board out as well. But I want to make sure that we talk about. We'll do the review for this Club Athletic game, and obviously from the perspective of, hey, it was a horror show against West Ham. And in fact, I needed to remind myself, what was it I was looking for that what we didn't like, what happened, or what was the main concerns. I did have a little conclusion for the West Ham game, and I wanna be able to see, as we kind of break things down versus Club Athletic, did we address those concerns against West Ham? Is this it? What was the conclusion? Yeah, I went into overdrive for the breakdown. Who's this? Oh, this is Brentford. Okay, I'm not going to show you the Brentford stuff yet. Let me find the West Ham game stuff. Okay, so that's West Ham there. So that's got a few of the things there that's there. Okay, so, and by the way, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Good to see Wobojog. God bless you, Wobojog. Hey, Phil, Brentford away is very, very tricky, especially if the visiting team is chasing a result there. Yeah, right. You're absolutely right. And as always, Wobojog, you got the finger on the pulse there. We are chasing the result, and that could lead to trouble if we don't chase it in the right way. So any solutions, any advice, do let us know. But as we approach that game, we've beaten Club Athletic yesterday. We want but like I said, I want to look at that review through the lens of what happened in the West Ham game, because we want to know. I want to know, especially, did we have, did we, did we make some changes? Did we make some improvements? How did it, did we make, did we, so in a way where to say, hey, we're looking a little bit better for Brentford. We're going to talk about it. So this is why I'm looking at the West Ham game. So quick review of the West Ham game. We created very low chances. A big part of that was static focus on the left flank. We talked about the over reliance on the left side of Gordon, Joelinton, and Burn. Obviously, Joelinton isn't a left winger. Burn isn't a left back. And Gordon is having a bit of an off season, partly because I think a big contribution is that he hasn't got the Lewis Hall, who we saw in the game against Club Athletic. A tear nearly went down my eyes when I saw Lewis Hall. But I think he'll improve Gordon's game once he gets back, hopefully. And obviously he was getting crowded out. The whole team was getting crowded out and struggling to create as a result of that. And part of it was personnel. So obviously Trippier not being there meant that we overfocused on that. We were very lopsided in our attack, very little kind of reliance or trust in Craft. That changed. Let's see if that changed. I'm sure that did change against Club Athletic. And actually, Trippier got an assist from a set piece. So it goes to show his impact straight away. And a lot of that led to the defensive instability. We were less cohesive in central midfield. Midfielders a little bit further apart. And defensive line suffered from key players like Botman and Bruno being caught out in possession. They had a real off day. We're going to talk about them in their individual performances as well, which invited the opponent's press and led to lapses in our passive defending. We were defending like West Ham were defending. This vulnerability in the build-up contributed to West Ham's victory. So in short, as it said, the balanced and cohesive passing in the Fulham game, which we had, because remember, for this analysis, we used a good game against Fulham, in my opinion, where we were a lot more balanced in our passing. And we compared it to this West Ham game where we're a lot more lopsided and we're left tactically exposed. So have we seen an improvement in our individual performances? Have we seen an improvement in our passing, pressing, probably everything really in this game? So let's forward now. Let's get back to it and talk about it. So make sure I get it back onto the screen. Let's talk about Club Athletic. That's Brentford stuff. We're going to get to Brentford. I did a lot of research on Brentford today. No, not that. Let's get to them. Here we go. Okay, so more Brentford stuff. Oh, come on. You got to find it. I was just there. More Brentford stuff. Okay, here we go. All right, so Club Athletic. No, more Brentford stuff. Here we go. That reminds me to go to SofaScore. So guys, do let me know in the chat what you guys are thinking. Have we improved in those areas? Let me know from the beginning. Did you guys in general see an improvement in this game? Let's talk about it. And already see folks in the chat. I need to put on the show comments on stage so I can see you guys. Good. God bless you, Adrian. Good to see you. Even in Phil and Mobile. Eyewitness Alf. Long time, Eyewitness Alf. Hope you're blessed. Haven't seen you in a while. Oof. Hope all is well with you. We might use Hall for Brentford, possibly rest Botman and Burn as a CB or rest Burn. Interesting there. Could work. I'd love to see Hall playing. If he's fit, I hope he plays. But we'll talk about it. This game will be decided by the wingers. So Obuchar says, this game will be decided by the wingers. I agree. Always thinking what I'm thinking. Yes, I agree. By the wingers, feeding your striker, your fullbacks covering transitions. Yeah. I expect middle of the pitch to be packed and nothing goes through there, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Big up, Bobo Jog. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right, so Club Athletic. Let's get to them. Let me take this off for 1 minute and let's do a quick, not quick actually. I'm going to go through it for a bit of a fine tooth comb. I won't lie to you, because that all kind of that's going to make the Brentford review interesting. But guys, let me know from the jump. Did you see improvements? Did you see what you wanted to see in terms of improvements for this game? Can you see that? Yes, you can. Okay, so Newcastle. Unfortunately, there isn't the passing map because Opta Analyst doesn't do passing map for Champions League games for some reason. But I would have loved to have looked at it. Excuse me. So obviously the overall stats, the most important stats are the scoreline, which is 2-0. We won 2-0. Before I actually get into the metrics, what did you guys think of the starting lineup? What did you guys think of the starting lineup? I can't remember how many changes I made when it came to this game. I feel like I made 4 or 5 changes from what I can remember. And I'll go to the midfield straight, even though I'm quite sequential in my thinking, but the midfield is what is drawing my attention. I did think that Ramsey and Miley would start. Gomeresh had a poor game, but it also looks like he was ill. Bruno looks like he was ill, possibly COVID. Or the flu. Joelinton, though, like I said, I'm sympathetic towards the feedback or the stick that Joelinton gets because I feel like people are misprofiling him sometimes when they're criticizing him. But I did think Ramsey would come in as he did in the previous game and play. But they didn't. Instead, the midfield trio stayed as they were. What do you guys think of that? I remember when watching the game at the start, the commentator actually said that Bruno Gomes made it very, very clear to Eddie Howe that, listen, I'm ready to play. I can play. I'm fit. I'm not sick. I can play. Play me. And that's what happened. My initial thoughts on Bruno Joelinton, Gordon played as well, but just focusing on the midfield is, had we beaten West Ham, I don't think Bruno and Joelinton would be playing. I think we would have rotated. That's my initial thoughts about that. And what that means is that they came into the game with intentions to improve, to get it out of their system with whatever happened against West Ham. That was my initial view on it. Voldemar and Gordon, who are both taken off at half time, also played. Gordon obviously was taken off injured, hip problem. Hopefully he's fit for the Brentford game, though he didn't look it. Barnes played on the right instead of Murphy. That was the other change. He had an okay game, got an assist as well. Burn remained at left back, though we saw Lewis Hall half time. The centre back pairing of Botman and Chow remained, and Pope remained, and obviously Kieran Trippier, the much needed, much wanted Kieran Trippier, started. So it is an interesting one that, my opinion, like I said, my view is that Eddie Howe played the guys. He wouldn't have played those guys. Bruno, Joelinton, possibly Gordon, others. Had we beaten West Ham, in my opinion. You guys let me know what you think. I just don't think he would have played them. And I think it was more of maybe a psychological boost, something like that, to get them to play, to let them play. That was my initial thoughts about that. Good to see you, Davey. Long time, Davey. Hope you're blessed. God bless you, sir. Good evening, Philip, and I hope you're all well. Very good, sir. Eyewitness South says, nah, it's HMPV1. I had COVID a few weeks ago, back well for 2 days, then got HMP. Well, I said, I sound like a license plate. But I hope you're better, though, Eyewitness South. At least Bruno is as well. Robojog says, I didn't watch your game. I see Hall is back, a big positive for you for your build-up, and he's left-footed, LB. Yeah, honestly. Yeah, even the flashes that he showed, I'm like I said, I had tears rolling down my eyes. Adrian says, Bruno always declares himself available. Yeah, exactly. There's a good and there's yeah, big up Bruno, honestly. Okay, we're gonna assess how he did in a moment. Adrian agreed he's El Capitano. Robojog says, a few times I've watched you guys, I wasn't impressed with the Langer. I was expecting a bit more. But this could be due to the small sample size. What are your thoughts on him so far? Concerns and positives? Positives, I think, is he has had a few decent games against US, mainly in the Champions League. He's still bedding in. Obviously, he hasn't got goals and assists, so that's the negatives. But he's bedding in. It'll take time. I think, what's the word they say? Room for improvement. That's it. Room for improvement. Davey says, yes, all good. Been on holidays and had work commitments. If I didn't catch live, caught up with it on my own time. Thanks, Davey. God bless you. But it's great to have you on live. So the boys played. Let me just do a quick. I'm gonna do a quick overview of the game because I'm interested in their individual performances today. When I was looking at the game, I was looking at the feedback. I was interested in there because I'll tell you what. I don't know what you guys think. Eye test time. At the beginning, I was not enamored with our possession game. We were losing the ball all over the pitch. And really, like we said, Atletico Bilbao had like tons of injuries. Both the Williams brothers weren't available. And they were good sports, to be honest. Like, they had phenomenal injuries. And they did their bit and what they could. And they were there for the taking. And we just let them back in the game. We just let them in the game a lot because we were just so poor in possession. And so the sting was taken out of the game. The jeopardy was taken out of the game because Club Athletic had so many players away, so many players injured, I think. So when I say there wasn't the same level of intensity, it wasn't that we were lackadaisical or any of that sort. We definitely put the shift in, but it wasn't as intense as it could have been had, for instance, the Williams brothers been around and things, players like that. But nonetheless, and Surfer Score is so funny because sometimes it has distance covered, sometimes it has sprints, sometimes it doesn't, but it looks like today it has. So we held the majority of the possession. They ran more, I think, because we had most of the possession. We had 1.2 expected goals, so we created chances, 3 big chances. You can see here on the right, us in the penalty box. Got a few shots off, 2 goals, obviously, 2 headers. A Burn with a phenomenal header. And this was about XG. People hate XGs. Well, not people hate XG. Not on this channel anyway, but in other channels. Like, it's 0.03 XG. right? Meaning that if Dan Burn, maybe not Dan Burn, but if any Premier League players, 100 Premier League players at random, took that very same header from that zero piece, from that set piece at that angle, at that distance, about 100 took it, only 3 players would get that in, so 3%. So that's what it means by expected goal. So it had a very, very low expected goal, right? Joelinton's was higher because obviously he was almost very much in front of goals, so like 28% there, 0.28. So both of those goals inside the box, as well as others. Elanga, speaking of Elanga, got a shot as well. Burn had another one. Botman did. I can't remember if it was a header or something. So there's about what's that, 6-7 shots of inside the box. Voltemada, I think he could have scored from there as well. So those opportunities there. Number of sprints, 139 to Athletic compared to ours, 111. It's because we had the majority of the ball. Tackling, shots. They had 12 to our 8. We had 4 on target. They had 5 on target. They hit the post, the woodwork twice. They did 4 shots on target to ours 2. And like literally last 35 minutes, I feel like we took the foot off the gas a bit. Obviously, we made a number of changes as well. And so that let you know that there wasn't a lot of. So coming back to the whole West Ham thing, I don't think we're going to learn a lot in terms of the intensity and kind of our defending and things like that, because Club Athletic weren't really the jeopardy was taken out of that game. Though my overall worry still maintains as around our passing. Now, I'm going to look at the individual performances because when I looked at it before, what my eyes saw and what is on the numbers is a little bit different. And it depends. Maybe because I was so hyper-focused on the passing from West Ham to this. We're still a little bit below par, but it wasn't as bad as I initially thought. It was bad, though, in the first 15 minutes or so. We were giving it away, to be honest. But if you look at, it was still low. Like, it was been lower than what it's been. Passing to the final third success rate, 68%. Long balls was decent, 54%. We were better at that. We were hitting it, long balls a lot more. 30% crosses, that's good. Do you know, stuff like that? So I thought that was impressive. And that's why I like Optin Analytics, because at least I'll be able to see like percentage of successful passes, whereas SofaScore don't really offer that, which is annoying. But True said they said 419 accurate passes. We've won the most, 74% aerial duels. Jeez, Club Athletic had they're a short team. Won the ground duels, had the more dominant dribbles. So it's pretty much dominance from that angle, right? So I wanna focus on the individual performance, especially the midfield, Bruno, who insisted on playing. And I want to be able to ask you the questions and maybe see to answer his question is in terms of, did he kind of get it out of his system? Was he did he bring the performance that I think he was hoping to have and others were hoping to have? But let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. David says Gordon couldn't pass a pass. He's struggling. He is struggling. Adrian says very disappointed with Elanga's technical level. Morbidjok says, I know G's is a good signal to how well a player is doing, but I think it doesn't give a complete picture. Example, Gordon doesn't have good GA, but you can see he ends up in good positions to assist or score, in my opinion. I agree. Off the ball, Gordon's been generally fine. On the ball, not as good. There are factors to that. Not having a proper fullback behind you helps. But yeah, Oberjok says Adrian. Oh, he speaks to Adrian. Does he help his fullbacks? He does. Does he make good runs in transitions? He does. I saw glimpses of that a few games I've watched him. Yeah, he's still doing that. Eyewitness Alf, it's weird, isn't it? All who trained with Elanga speak highly of him with his technical ability, but we've not seen it yet. I think he's desperate and needs to calm down, enjoy his game again. I agree. And he's a confidence player. I can't remember who said this before, that Howe doesn't typically get confidence players. The players he gets are like very self-confident, self-motivated, if that makes sense, that they like that, your Burns and others. But you can't have all players like that. So I think Gordon and Elanga are quite are confidence players. Um, Adrian says he's made runs but hasn't got the relationship yet with Trippier. That said, of his game should click. Elanga, yeah, I agree. Haven't particularly noticed the defensive side. He does the tracking back. He does do that, I think. Davey says Chow was my man of the match. He was fantastic. He's been phenomenal. He's been the pillar. Got his call up for Germany. As I posted on X, it's the Howe effect. if you need to get into your international team or back into your international team, you better call Howe. Aaron, good to see you. God bless you. Says I think our I know what you're trying to say. Robustness. I forgot how to say it. And running power was always going to be too much for them. Yeah, I agree. With their injuries, I expected a comfortable result. I just felt in some periods we lacked control, which is frustrating. Yeah, I agree. So let's see. Let's give a little bit of time to the individual performances before we get to the Brentford game, and see what we saw. I'm going to start with the midfield. I'm going to go back to the boys because SofaScore has given them healthy sevens. Right. I'm not going to focus on Tonali too much, but SofaScore has given them healthy sevens. What I was hoping for. Obviously, I looked prior at this, but what I was hoping for prior to like looking at these individual heat maps was to see big reds in the opposition halves. So to at least indicate to me or signal to me that they were surrounding Voltemada. Where is he? Up with Voltemada at the end. And they were supporting him. It's a tricky one. I need to make sure you guys can see this. So here's a heating map. Obviously, Voltemada's on the far left. He's a difficult one because he drops in a lot. So he kind of comes to see them, really, to be honest. But I wanted to see big runs. What I noticed was, Bruno's heat map is off. He did actually. There was a heat map there before. What happened to his heat map? Where's Bruno's heat map? Where is Bruno's heat map? It was there before. Okay, good. We got it back. So now Voltemada is second. Make sure you guys can see that. Where is he? Here we go. Now Voltemada's heat map's gone. Jeez, I think he can't do more than 3. All right, let's take off Voltemada. Okay, so obviously Bruno's heat map's a little bit less heaty because he played 60 minutes or something like that. How many minutes did he play? How many minutes did you play, mate? 66 minutes, right? So here's his heat map. This is going from left to right. So he spent most time on the right side of the pitch, which he's supposed to do. And most times in his part of the pitch, in our side of the pitch, but within the second phase. And you can see a growing heat map steadily going into the third, but not too much. He spent a little bit of time just outside the penalty box, but not too much. 66 minutes played. SofaScore has really improved its thing. Let's see what it is for his shots. No goals, no shots blocked. That's not good. So you can see even from the heat map, he wasn't even in the penalty box to be able to do that. Passing. Expected assist 0.03%. So he wasn't really in the position to make anything of use, really. One key pass. Okay. Accurate passes. 31 out of 33 accurate passes, 94% accurate passing rate. So he did improve it in his possession. Passes into the opposition half. 14 out of 16 passes. Almost like half of his passes, or a third of his passes were into the opposition half, which is good. 88% accuracy. Good. Passes in his own half, 100%, fine. Long balls, this is pretty impressive. Out of the 3 long balls he made, 2 out of 3 got to their man, so 67%. So passing-wise, good. Shooting-wise, 0, literally 0. Dribbling, he had 41 touches, bearing in mind, again, he's played 66 minutes. So typically he gets 60, 70 touches per game. He would have probably got that. Just 2 unsuccessful touches when he lost the ball, I think. One of them I did see. 1 successful dribble. He was fouled twice, which is typical, and lost possession around 4 times. When you say lost possession, sometimes when you do make an unsuccessful long ball, or when you are caught in possession, essentially, which he was at least once. What do you guys make of Bruno's appearance? SofaScore gave him 7 out of 10. I think getting 0s for shooting goes against him, but possession-wise, in passing, very good. You can argue that his opponent wasn't the greatest. You can argue this for all of the stats, but at least it wasn't worse. If it was worse, then we've got some conversations to be had, right? Defensively, he wouldn't have had too much to do. Won 4 out of 6 of his ground duels. That's the main thing. 1 recovery run. Running stats, okay, bearing in mind he played 66 minutes, 7.9 kilometers covered, which is fine, which is on the way to like covering 12 to 13 kilometers, which is really, really good. Number of sprints, 4 sprints. Wouldn't have had to sprint too much due to the opponent again, but I would have liked to see him sprint into the opponent's penalty box. That would have been good. I'm not too worried about walking and jogging and stuff. There's always these crazy stats about people. Players spend more time walking and jogging. It doesn't mean anybody's lazy or anything like that. And we know he's not the fastest in the world. So SofaScore gave him 7 out of 10. Did he get it out of his system? Did he improve? Yeah, especially in his passing. But I would say he needs to get into the box. He's meant to be our advanced 8. What's going on? Could have done that. Tonali did his game. Again, lopsided towards the left-hand side. I don't know why. Because, Joelinton's there. And you can see Joelinton's there on his side. So I don't know if it must be part of the game plan. I don't know why it is. But he spent a lot of time on the left-hand side and in his half as well. Couple heat maps here, but still in the past the center circle, but no heat maps in the opposition in the penalty box, which is crazy. I think that's crazy. Have I got it the right way around, this heat map? Is it meant to be the other way around? No, it is from left to right. Nothing in the position box. So both Bruno and Tonali spent no time in the opposition box, which meant no shots, not even the shot blocked. for Tonali. Obviously, no assists, extremely low expected assists. Accurate passes, 49 out of 62, 79% accurate passes. Would you guys say that Tonali is the more riskier passer? Is that why it's low? Or are we getting away with it there a little bit? Passing opposition half, 17 out of 24, 71%. Not too bad. Passing his own halves. In his own half, he still got 79%. So you only got 30 out of 38. I think he had a bad day passing. I can't remember him. This was saying about what you see on the pitch sometimes. But he got 5 out of 7 long balls, 70%. Yeah, he's the more riskier passers. How he got 80%, less than 80% in his own half, I don't know. But then when it comes to passing into the opposition half, he's not doing half bad. Dribbling, let's move on now. 79 touches, of course. 90 minutes played, 79 touches, 1 unsuccessful touch. Possession lost 18 times. Defensive work, interceptions 1, recoveries 5, excellent. 6 out of 9 duels 1, 2 out of 2 aerial duels 1. So in the duel rates, very, very good. Running, you expect that to be high, 11.7. Top speed, number of sprints 4, the same as Bruno, and he'd been in the game longer than him. Again, I wish he would sprint into the penalty box. Okay, yeah, I think that's my main. I think the same thing. I won't say the same thing for Tonali than I would say for Bruno. Except for Bruno was better in possession than Tonali was, and Tonali was better in the dueling and the physical work. Joelinton. Before I get to Joelinton, let me see what you guys are saying. Davey says 100% Philip. Hope it helps recruitment. Absolutely. Aaron says Lewis Hall. Brilliant. I agree. When he came on, we have missed his technical ability so badly. And speaking of LBs, there was really good unlucky not to score. He was cheeky January bid. Apparently, I don't know if you guys saw this. We've already made a bid for none other than Real Madrid's Camavinga. I can't remember the source. Is it Fajitas? FCGAS? I don't know how to pronounce it. We'll see. Adrian says, Ciao, Sandro, Voldemort and Hall were the brightest ballers last night. Yes, but why was Sandro's? I'm gonna err to the side of he's more risky with his passing, but his passing percentage is pretty low. Definitely agree with the Hall part. Okay, so Mr. Joelinton, I thought, let me remind myself, possibly had the better game out of all the 3 guys. So let me just go on Joelinton. Let me take these guys off. Let me focus on Joelinton a little bit. So where's his heat map? So he's played, how many minutes did he play? 90 minutes. Obviously focused on the left-hand side, as well as that heat map here, protecting the back, which would be Burn, screening that back CB, so you can see that there, as well as taking a little bit of time in the center, but mainly on that left-hand side, but also an emerging heat map here in the penalty box. He was rewarded for spending his time in the penalty box, unlike his compatriots, unlike his colleagues, actually. Why is it so on the left? Let me see if I can get Jordan up the stats, the stats thing again. Oh no, it keeps on going on the left so much. Can you guys see that? You can, but it's funny. So it's on the left. So he spent time in the opponent's penalty box, was rewarded with the goal. Not too much. Again, same assists as his colleagues, 3%. that side of the game really has to improve for all round. Let's start with the shots. So he glimpsed off the goal. He had 2 shots in total, 2 shots on target, 1 big chance missed as well. So again, that's what you get when you spend time in the penalty box. And they're going to have to do that against Brentford. Accurate passes overall, 80%. Passes in opposition half, 71%, 15 out of 21, not too bad. Passes in his own half, 90%. Yeah, long balls, 3 out of 3 long balls. He got 100% for that. So passing is good. Is good. Touches, 54 touches for the 90 minutes. Unsuccessful touches, just 1. Possession lost, 12. What's happened here? It's all taking it off now. That's annoying. Where are you, Joelinton? Where are you, Joelinton? Dribble. No, I've done that already. Defensive stats. Interceptions, 3. It's good. Clearances. Recoveries, 9. And you can see that again from the heat map, protecting his back 4. Ground duels, 3 out of 7. That's interesting. Aerial duels, 1 out of 1. He was only dribbled once, passed once. Decent. I don't know why his duels are that low. Distance covered, 10.6. Top speed. Sprinting. How many sprints? Number of sprints, 15. Good. So he worked the socks off. Didn't have to do too many because where the opponent was at. But folks, let me know, like, did they redeem themselves? They didn't play as badly as West Ham, that's for sure. But Voltemada, I'm going to look at Voltemada just quickly before we get back into it and get you guys' overall view on this game. And then we move on to Brentford. But Voltemada, accurate passes, 75%. Passing opposition half, 75%. Passes in his own half, so everything 75% for him. Shots, how many shots did he get? He had 1 shot all game. That's disappointing. He played 83 minutes and he got 1 shot. That is disappointing. Touches, 31. Unsuccessful touches, 4. Dribbles, 2 out of 3 successful, as we expect. Ground duels, 5 out of 11. Aerial duels, 1 out of 2. Who beat him out in the ground duel? Sprints, 9 sprints all game. The lack of shooting is disappointing for me. We know his role, which is to drop deep, which he did. You can see that on his heat map. But he's on the right side of the pitch next to Bruno here, and that heat map in the penalty box is very faint. We need him more there. But then again, if the centre midfielders are not there, then what can he do? Speaking of fullbacks, Kieran Trippier doing his thing down the right-hand side, keeping that heat map going there. He's doing his thing. He's staying in advanced position. So I just don't understand that if the fullbacks are pushing up, if Kieran Trippier is spending like a good moment of his time behind, after the center, beyond right in the second phase of the pitch, it should push up. It should force the midfield to push up as well. That's my thoughts on that. I would want to know why they're not doing that. Kieran Trippier for me is doing his bit by pushing up into the advanced areas. We know what's going on with them. Defensive stats pretty good. Again, 67% accurate passes. He has to take the more riskier passes, so I'm not overly worried about that. Passes in the opposition half, 33%. 2 out of 9 long balls, 22%. He got the assist. That's the main thing. Even though he got 0.3 expected assists, that's crazy. Touches, 73. That's why he's so much more important than Kraft. They gave him 73 touches. He had more touches than Bruno and Tonight. Maybe Tonight. I can't remember how many Tonight he had. That's why he's important. That's why he is important. I think there was one more person I wanted to look at, and then we move on. Was it Dan Burn? Dan Burn doing his thing. He's spending time in the opposition half, or at least in the second phase. I know he's not a left back. We know he's not a left back, but he's doing his thing. He's pushing up. He's doing what he's supposed to do. But for some reason, our midfield is camped in our own half. I don't understand that. They're supposed to be, if Votamada is dropping in, they need to be running into the gaps in behind. Burn obviously got the goal. He's got that off his chest, won all his ground duels, 4 out of 5 aerial duels. Again, I don't know who beat him, but that's crazy. He played how many minutes? 65 minutes. I'm going to look in the chat in a moment as well. Accurate passes, 80%. Passes in the opposition half, 13 out of 18. So he's trying to advance the play, 70%. Decent passes in his own half, 84%. 1 out of 4 long balls. Again, not the same quality. Let me see what Lewis Hall got before we move on. Let us see what Lewis Hall got before, and then we'll go to Chow. I feel like going through the whole squad. I didn't expect this to spend this much time on it, but I want to get you guys your views. I want to get you guys your feelings. Let's get Lewis Hall on. Let's get Anthony on. Let's get Murphy as well. So let me see. Lewis Hall, he played 25 minutes. Obviously, stayed down on that left-hand side. It's going to be a bit faint because he only played 25 minutes, but you already can see him taking up space in the center, already in the center of the field, adding that extra man. Emerging highlights there in the advanced areas of the pitch as well. That's 25 minutes of Mr. Lewis Hall. Imagine what we get with 90. He wasn't going to get any shots. No, let me see. Yeah, he wasn't going to get any shots in 25 minutes. But passing, 88% accurate passes, 100%. Listen to this, guys. 5 out of 5, 100% passing accuracy in the opposition half. 25 minutes, Lewis Hall. We missed him. Then 80% in his own half. But we missed him. Dribbles, 22 touches in that 25 minutes on the game. Only 2 unsuccessful, 1 successful dribble already. Defensively, I don't think he had to do too much. 1 out of 2 ground duels. Running, 6 sprints. 6 sprints in that 25 minutes. He really got his cardio going in that time. So impressive. Elanga played 28 minutes. He was floating between centre half and centre forward and on the left-hand side as well. Again, you're not going to see too much, but emerging patterns. He stayed a lot in that second phase as well, camped out there. I saw even small improvements in the Elanga because of Lewis Hall. Like, Lewis Hall is that important. You're not going to see too much from these guys. All right. So let me know what you guys think. I think generally they played better, but the position and the occasion, wasn't wasn't going to be the best test. I would have wanted to see more shooting from both Bruno and from Tonali. Um, though Bruno in possession was better. I think Voltemada didn't spend hardly any time in the penalty box. That's a concern. I know he has to drop in. I know he has to, and let for the other guys advance. But the opposition was there for the taking. And even in the dropping in, he didn't have any key passes or anything of like that to kind of anything to kind of show his worth in terms of dropping in like that. So there's some room for improvement there for sure. Lewis Hall, the shining light, 25 minutes, 100% accuracy, passes in the opposition half, shows you what he's all about. Chow, imperious, Botman, decent. So I'll just say marginal improvements, and uh, you know that leads us on into the Brentford game. And what does that mean? But at the same time, I'm worried that our midfielders aren't running into spaces in the back when Voltemada is dropping in. On screen, you see that happening a couple of times. It's not as bad as what they're saying, but you want to see it more often for sure. Let's see what the chat is saying. Eyewitness Alf says we do need a January signing for a dual fullback as a Burn can't do left back next season with age and pace taken into account, possibly Willock replacement 2 in the midfield. Yeah, there's rumours that we're going after Murillo from Forest, but he's like a left. He's a complete definitely left back, definitely good in a three-man uh, uh, defense. Great on the ball, passing and dribbling and everything else, but I don't know about playing. He's not definitely can't do. I don't know if he could do both flanks the same way, but if he takes the left, he can cover for Hall. I think Trippier can cover. Yeah. So you'll have Murillo and Hall, Trippier and Livramento. It's not too bad if we were to get him anyway. Da, 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 da. Where is it? Okay, guys. Good to see you guys engaging, man. Good to see you guys engaging. So let's take it into the Brentford game. And how do you guys feel about this Brentford game? What do you guys think? What do you guys think is going to happen? What do you guys think Newcastle need to do? What do you guys think Newcastle need to do to win this game? I've already given some hints there. Our midfielders need to break lines. That'll be one of the things to do. And our centre forward needs to take more than one shot in 90 minutes. We need to that also needs to happen. Aaron says Voltemada was playing on the last man a lot, which may have been a tactic. I think our issue is not our play comes from wide overloads, and Eddie doesn't know how to incorporate him when he drops in. Do you think he doesn't know? I think like for instance the Fulham game and everything else, Forest. I personally think he's not. He like. I think Eddie knows. For me personally, I think Eddie knows what to do with him. I think I think the players around him need to help out more. They need to make sure they're around him. When I watched him playing for Germany, every time there were players around him, and he was magnificent. Robojog says, Phil, if Camavinga is available this summer, every club in Europe and their dogs would be after him. He solves so many tactical problems for managers. He's highly rated for that. Do you know what? I'll be honest, Robojog. I haven't seen too much about Camavinga. I know him a lot more by name alone. If you can, let me know what his profile is and where do you think he works in our team. That'll be like, let me know if you've got time to do that. For sure. Adrian says, with Nick dropping, we need a change in central midfield. If they continue playing like this, if he's dropping in and they're not getting around him, they're not. I think they are getting around him, to be honest, but they're not advancing. It's going to be problematic. I know a lot of our, if you guys remember, we were getting blamed. I forgot what game it was, and like I said, a lot of our focus was focused on playing centrally because we didn't have fullbacks. But our midfielders really need to. I think this game against Club Athletic, they didn't spend, Tonali and Bruno not spending time in opposition half. Voltemada in the half in their penalty box. That needs to change. That needs to change for sure. Okay, so that was Club Athletic, Brentford. Like I said, let's talk about Brentford. Let's talk about Brentford. So let me do a quick table, show them where they are on the table before we get into the XG and see what they're doing, see what they're about. Because I love my XG, thankfully. By the grace of God, I had time to do it today. What was I going to look at? Brentford. There they are. Here we go. We'll do that. Make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. All right, Brentford. So Brentford are currently 12th. We're in 13th, so we're right next to each other. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. So it's a mid-table clash. They've played 10 games. They've won 4. That's so interesting. Okay, so they've won 4. They drew 1. They drew. I thought for a minute, I thought they drew 5 and lost 1. I thought that's even worse. But no, they played 10 games. They won 4. They drew 1. They lost 5. They lost 5 games with a -2 goal difference because they've scored 14 goals and they conceded 16 goals. So high volume indeed. Whereas obviously we've scored 10 and conceded 11. So we're going to talk about that. That's their current position. Their current form is the last 5 games. They lost their last game against, who was that? Palace, which nowadays isn't a disrespect. They lost 2-0 to Palace, but prior to that, they won 2 in a row. 3-2 against Liverpool. They deserved to win that game against Liverpool. By the way, that was Brentford at home. And we're going to be talking about their home game. They beat West Ham away, as you should. And they lost Man City 1-0 at Man City as well, before comfortably beating Man United. Was that at their ground? Yeah, it was at Brentford. It was at the G-Tech. So I think all their victories so far have come from the G-Tech as well. And that's just letting you know from the jump, they're very strong at home. As if we didn't already know that. But just in case anybody thought, maybe they're not playing well. No. They are playing well. So, especially at home. They're playing decent, especially at home. So let's get up there. Let's get their XG up and get an overall flavor, an overall view for how they're playing. What's going on? Why can't I get back to my screen? Here we go. And where are you? Here we go. And I'll get to the chat in a moment. Okay, so updated. This is Newcastle's. Why are we looking at Newcastle's? Okay, I did it backwards. That's why. No, I didn't. Let me do it. Let me get back to where I want to be. Oh gosh, now the whole screen's gone. Let me see what's happened. Brentford. I got too many slides for them. That's the problem. Okay, hopefully I found my feet now. Here we go, and my screen. Thank goodness for that. Right, Brentford home and away performance. We're going to focus on the home because obviously we're playing them at the G Tech, but they're just to say generally their home metrics are much better, nearly twice as better. In some cases, 4 times better than their away. So at home, um, their XG is about 2.10 per game. In terms of scored XG scored per game is about 2.10 per game. So they're creating a ton. They are creating a lot. To be creating 2.10 XG per game, and your goals scored per game, your actual goals scored per game is 2.25, where they're only marginally overperforming. So they're marginally overperforming by 0.15. They're creating 2.10 per game and they're scoring 2.25. Yeah. Our defending has to be. Yes, a lot of them were from set pieces. I don't care. It's part of the game. And they don't care. They will win by any chances. So what we can expect is a very strong offensive team in Brentford. For sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. XG's conceded per game, again at home, is 1.4. And we can also expect that we'll have opportunities to create a lot against Brentford as well. 1.4 is high. Goals conceded per game is 1.25. So teams are slightly underperforming. So, but it's only slightly. It's only slightly. So essentially, Brentford are quite high volume in both cases in terms of scoring and creating chances as they are in conceding and having chances created against them. But they are worth their money. They are worth their money in goal. Like it's not by accident that they're scoring lots of goals because they're creating lots of goals. At the same time, lots of goals are being created against them, and they're also conceding a lot of goals as well. So, total goals versus total expected goals. So far, they've scored 14 goals this season in the Premier League alone. 14 goals in 10 games, with a total expected XG of 14.31. So the difference is minus 0.31. So they're only marginally, very, very marginally underperforming their XG, their expected goals. So it is by design, it's very intentional, it is premeditated. They have a system, a very good offensive system. I think it's only Palace and City who have not conceded against Brentford this season, and they're two of the high-performing teams this season. This is what Newcastle can expect: a very good, offensively performing Brentford team. At the same time, they've conceded 16 goals against an XG, a total expected XG of 13.10. So literally a plus 2.9 goal difference. So teams have overperformed against Villa in terms of scoring by nearly 3 goals, right? So not against Villa, against Brentford. So I'm sure there's some games there where Brentford could really count themselves unlucky to have lost or drawn those games for sure. So that's where Brentford sit. Very offensive team, very successful team, and in terms of what they do offensively, but they also concede a lot of chances, and they concede goals as well. So yeah, that's just a further breakdown at home. Home and away average games. Average games at home 1.62 per game in XG. In terms of creating 1.8 actual goals scored, so only over slightly performance and stuff like that. So they're doing very, very well from an offensive point of view. So just looking at them at the season so far with what Brentford are producing, home performances, overperformance. Their attack goals scored versus their XG score. Brentford have been more clinical at home, scoring 0.18 goals per game more than their XG, but it's only slight. It's only slight. I don't see it as a huge overperformance. Defensively, though, goals conceded versus goals XG, the defense and goalkeeper have overperformed at home, conceding 0.33 goals per game, fewer than the XG conceded. So a slight overperformance. Away from home, we won't talk about too much, but they've been underperforming. They've not been doing good. It doesn't matter. They're not playing us at St. James's Park. I want to give a big up to Adrian Clark from the Premier League. He does a good breakdown of how Brentford play. And this is very recent. This is from October the 31st. After they played, I think it was Man United. So let me find it on here because I've taken it off now. Adrian Clark. So we'll do a little bit of breakdown of their style of play before we talk about Newcastle and what we need to do. Let's get this. Yeah, so here we go. Let me share my screen let me just get the screen on and then I'll read the chats. Let's get ourselves there. Share screen. Here we go. Big up to Adrian Clark. When was this? Yeah, I think it was the 31st of, I want to say it's the 31st of October. I was right, 31st of October 2025. So we'll run through this and we'll get a flavour for what Brentford are going to bring. We already know they're going to bring a very good offensive style. We have to be on top of our game. We have to really improve. Aaron says Camavinga is an elite midfielder. To be honest, he might be more better than Tonali in that sixth position. Really? Wow. Pressure resistant, good on the ball, elite, technically very good player. Okay, I look forward to seeing him. Aaron says for us, oh gosh, what's happened? Aaron says for us and how we play, he might be better suited. I see Sandro as more of an 8, but Camavinga in our system might be better suited for us, to be honest. Okay. I wonder, I always question though, like, and I say it in the best possible way if I can, for a player to move from Real Madrid to Newcastle, the question is going to be like, what's going on? But I guess any team, or most teams in the world, it's going to feel like a drop off, like essentially. And we haven't really bought a player like that from an elite team like that to us. And when I see teams generally do that, like we always, for instance, criticize the likes of Man United, for instance, who aren't playing well. You know, like when they got the lit from Bayern Munich, and we're thinking, you know, Bayern Munich, powerhouse, what they're doing. Obviously, Man United are a powerhouse as a club, but not playing well. Why would he go? Now, we're doing well as a football club, but we're not of the same status as your Real Madrids, your Man Uniteds, and Bayern Munichs. I don't know what his wages are. What's the wages? What's Camavinga's wages? If I see anything above 130, we're not getting him. We're not getting him. Capology. What's his thing? Man, they've got so many, what do you call it? Things here. Gross pay, 12 million bonus, gross pay, 3 million euros, 15 million per year. Release clause of 100 million. His contract runs out in 2029. So what's that weekly? What's he getting paid weekly? 240 euros. Yeah, we're not getting him. That's a lie. We're not getting him. For me, that story is over. Before it started. Adrian says, someone said I need to time someone out. Camavinga is a deluxe Sean Longstaff. Hey, Adrian knows his players, man. So I'll have to. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a profile on this guy. I haven't done it in ages. A scouting profile. I used to do them all the time. I think because I had more time last season. I was thinking recently, why have I not been doing that many scouting profiles? And I realized because we're in the Champions League. Aaron says Brentford are a great team from set pieces and throw-ins. Coyote and Sade, great counter-attacking players. Absolutely. Aaron says plus the throw-ins, they are probably the best team in the league for it. And we have to. That's where I think Dan Burn stays at left back. Just this is like a quick spoiler alert. Dave says, "Hey Philip and the chat. Brentford away is tough. If we play like we have yesterday, we need to move forward more. Far too many backward movement." Dave, you got your finger on the pulse. I don't know if you just come into the show. It sounds like you did. But we literally just because we reviewed the game and I was saying the same thing. Our midfielders. Let me know when you said we need to move too many backwards movements. I was talking about our midfielders, the likes of Tonali, Bruno, less so of Joelinton because he done a little bit better. Let me know who you're talking about, but that was exactly that's what I would say. No, it's cool. It's cool. I was just gonna say because I was saying exactly the same things. We're not. Voldemort didn't spend any time in a penalty box. We need to improve. So let me know when you say backwards movements. Were you thinking of the midfield as well? Wobbledog says that's why he's my favorite kind of player. That allows managers to change team shape and tactics with minimal subs without sacrificing much, as he can plug and play holes, in my opinion. Okay. That must be Camavinga, right? Okay. But he's 240 euros. Like, I've already switched off from it. Honestly, I just know that's not happening. I think that's like a play for, I don't know if he's trying to negotiate a new contract or something. I don't know. All right. So Brentford. Let's have a quick look on their style of playing, what they're doing. Can you guys see it? This is Adrian Clark from for the Premier League. This is 1st of August. He talks about Brentford and their playing style. Obviously, Keith Andrews is doing phenomenal work for them. The Bees have been lining up 4-2-3-1 in about 6 matches, or 5-3-2 in about 3 matches. So we can expect that kind of formation. You can see it here. This is how they lined up against Liverpool. Can you guys see that first of all before I say too much? Here we go. Obviously, Thiago leading the line with Jensen, Onyeka, and Lewis Potter supporting. Henderson has been playing well for them, and Yano in that double pivot with the 4-man defense behind, and Kelleher there as well, former Liverpool player. Okay, what's happened now? Why can I not scroll down? Oh, because I clicked on the diagram. That's why. Fine. Make sure you guys can still see the screen. Yes, you can. All right. So, and then Andrew switched to a back 5 for their 2-2 draw with Chelsea, using Kevin Sade and Igor Thiago as the front 2. He retained it for the next outing against 3-1 loss to Fulham before bringing it back to the 5-3-2. So you can see that He's flexible. He's changing things up. Uh, duh, 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 duh. So, what is Brentford's playing style? Brentford are an intense, hard-working outfit designed to unsettle our opponents. Only 4 teams have covered more distance in 25-26, but it is the way they apply pressure on rivals that stands out the most. And if they're doing all that applying pressure stuff, okay, we're gonna have to really improve. Like the more I'm really, we're gonna have to really, really. I can't even highlight. I'm trying to. We're gonna have to really, really improve. In our possession play, we're gonna have to be as intensive as them. Proving they do not just sit back and hustle in deep areas, they rank fourth for high intensity pressures in the opposition half. So this isn't going to be Newcastle um, playing it out the back freely, Brentford setting up in a mid block or a low block. They're going to be in our faces. That might be a good thing actually, because it might create space. They might make up our minds for us in terms of creating spaces in the back. So we'll see. Overall, they produced the second highest number of pressures. See below. How many? Second highest number of pressures. So they're just behind Burnley. It's a crazy company of teams here. Burnley, Brentford, Brighton, Crystal Palace, and Wolves. Interesting company of teams. As producing turnovers in this way is such a core strength, it's no surprise Brentford are a low possession outfit, averaging just 40% possession, dipping from 47% last year. So they've got even less possession this season. They can't be bothered with possession, honestly. They're just looking to win the ball back. They kind of reminded me of us when we first started under Howe. Rather than constantly moving the ball from side to side, no one has made fewer sequences of 10 or more passes, 52, than the Bees. They actually make higher percentage of forward passes than all 19 of the other flight. They actually make a higher percentage of forward passes than all 19 other top flight teams. So they're extremely, extremely direct. And in that company, Sunderland, Palace, Bournemouth, and Newcastle for percentage of forward passes. This is going to be a crazy game of football. This is going to be like an ultra direct game of football between Newcastle and Brentford. That's what might make it really interesting and exciting. Guys, just give me 30 seconds. I'm going to get a drink of water. You know how it is for me. I need that. I'll be back in just a moment. Oi, oi. Can you guys see me? Yeah, you can. Get my drink of water. Oof. Interestingly, that tactic is reaping rewards across the division. 2 of the Premier League surprise packages, Sunderland and Bournemouth, are also amongst the most direct teams. That's true. Key strengths: long passes and fast breaks. I do think, though, we're better with the profile of players we've got now, with Chow and Botman in our back line. We're better equipped to deal with this. But obviously, it's a huge threat. Andrews is not overseeing the long ball side, but when they do break, Brentford have achieved the fine success with long range passes for their pacey forwards to run into. And I think Aaron was saying that earlier. You see, and it kind of shows a highlight of Sade scoring earlier as well. I don't want to get banned because that gets me into trouble. But you can see it here. And this is a situation that we're going to be looking at as well. This is what we're going to be looking at. And this is what we struggled with last season as well. But this is against Liverpool, right? Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. This is the moment that we're going to be looking for, right? Oh, let's do. I've never been so nervous for a game, and it's Brentford at the G Tech. It's not Barcelona at St James's Park, Liverpool at St James's Park. It's Brentford. Or Aston Villa away. It's Brentford at the G Tech. Now Liverpool don't do a great job here, but fine. They back themselves, right? So they've got Van Dijk and I think it's Kanate holding the line here. They've got a bit of a horseshoe here. I don't know if that's intentional or not with their fullback there, but it's quite wide. Like it's very exposing. And you can see this time it's Damsgaard who's really, really good at playing the ball forward. It's either Damsgaard or Henderson, Yana as well. Really, really good at this passing in between the lines there, getting it into that position right there, just short of the keeper having to go out and get it as well. But you can also see how compact they are in that middle. It's going to be absolutely. I can't remember, someone else said it. Like them, I think Wobodrog said it. This midfield is going to be absolutely congested. I think Wobodrog said as well that our wingers are going to be absolutely key in this game because look how much space there is in the back here. Imagine, I don't know if that's Verts. Who's that? I don't know what Liverpool midfielder that is, but if he managed to win the ball off Damsgaard there, he's got a big chunk of space there to pass it on to, is it Gakpo or someone? So this is the moment we're going to be looking for throughout the game. Sade clocked as the fastest player in the division this season. Wow. Sade and Chow in a one-on-one is a fabulous outlet when there is an entire half-empty space for him to run into. These strikes below against Liverpool and Chelsea are not identical in their execution. Are near identical. Exactly. I thought it was the same picture, but obviously I saw the blue and it's Chelsea. Again, the same moment. This time it's Henderson who picks up the ball. Right? So it's Henderson who picks up the ball. There's a lovely over the top for Sade to run into. Again, Chelsea got two at the back. I did say earlier, we're better equipped. We are better equipped, but it doesn't stop Brentford from still doing what they're doing. This is the moment, and this is the time we're all going to be waiting for in this game. It's that moment. Okay, so let me get out of that. When you analyze data, it is clear that Andrews is in the process of building a side that is a counter-attacking side. Okay, teams with the fastest, interesting, when Newcastle here, teams with the most fast break threats in the Premier League 25-26. Number 1, Liverpool, 14. Goals from that, 1. 1.97 speed. Brentford are second with 10 fast breaks, 4 goals scored. City, 10 fast breaks, 3 goals scored. And this is where Newcastle's problem has been so far this season. One of the most common problems that Newcastle have had. I didn't see this earlier, even though I got it up. Newcastle United, 10 fast breaks, 0 goals. There's the problem. We need to change that. Thiago's on form, Golden Boot contender. I think he can shoot with his left foot, right foot. Very, very calm. Only Erling Haaland has got more goals than him as well. He's converted 54% conversion rate at the moment. Crazy. He's doing absolutely phenomenally well. Again, him over the top. Not just Shade, it's Thiago as well. It's almost identical. It's going to be this move they're going to go for each and every time. Each and every time. This is why they're so lethal. This is why these guys are so lethal. And we're going to be waiting for this. We're going to be waiting for this all game. His shots so far, 22 shots, 12 shots on target, 11 big chances, expected goals of 4.47, goals 6. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Coyote, spoken earlier. He isn't just good with his, in terms of throw-ins, but very strong, very athletic, very full-built thinking. Doing phenomenally well. Newcastle have been linked to him as well. So a lot of good from Brentford. A lot of praise for the way they've played. I was going to offer some solutions to beat them, but let me see what you guys are saying. If we're going to beat Brentford, what are we gonna do? Let me know, guys. Let me know. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat before we come up with some solutions. Dave says, yes, midfield always pass back. Our only balls forward were from defense. Yeah, it wasn't. I think Tonali and I think they passed forward in terms of passing. The passing forward stats were good for me, and what I've read from the stats and what I saw. The passing they weren't doing enough, like, I guess, over the top, trying to get in behind, but I don't know if anybody was making the runs for that. And I think they were. But they're not themselves, not in the goal. They're not in enough doing themselves in their goal involvement, in my opinion. They're physically not getting into the final third enough at the moment. And that's my worry. Adrian and Warburton having the laugh. Dave said Bilbao did a high press in the first half and we couldn't cope. They did. If Brentford do that, we will be in trouble. We will be in trouble. If that is the case, yeah. So we need to, again, that's another area we need to improve. Absolutely. Aaron says Shard is a quality player. I would take him over Gordon. Wow. Gordon's lost a lot of favour. Dave said we need a number 9 to convert the fast breaks. Yeah, that's why we've got Whisper, isn't it? But let's see if he's legible. Not legible. Let's see if he's healthy. Legible. Okay. When I was thinking about solutions and coming forward, there's a couple that we really need to do that we talked about. But what I noticed, I want to quickly just show this. What I noticed from the how Palace beat Brentford. Palace, and the thing about this, though, I have to say, for both losses that the Brentford had against the two games I'm going to show, Palace and Man City, who both beat Brentford and had kept a clean sheet, right? Both were away games, Etihad and Selhurst. So you have to consider this as well. For Palace, and you can see them, I've highlighted them here. What they did really well, and you can see here with, let me get to Sofa Score because I can't maneuver it here. Let me show on Sofa Score. Here's the Palace game. Make sure you guys can see that. No, you can't see that. See, that's why it's good to check. So for the Palace game, average positions on the right, just for you guys to know, on the right is Brentford. On the left is Palace. And you can see in this game, look at Brentford, how congested they are in the middle. They're absolutely congested in the middle, right? But one thing I noticed, I said to myself, I think it's Thiago. Is it Thiago in the 24? Let me double check. Who's there 24? Damsgaard. So Damsgaard is the most advanced, and he's is not near the penalty, but he doesn't get into the penalty box. He's outside of it, but he doesn't get into the penalty box. So for what are they doing right? Thiago Silva, the number 9, a little bit in the penalty box, but not like literally on the edges on the right-hand side, not doing much. Somebody else spends a little bit more time. Ouattara spends a little bit more time in the penalty box. And the number 7, Kevin Schade, who we've talked about, spent a little bit of time, but not too much. So what did Palace do that was really, really good? And you can see just how congested and circled. You can throw a towel around that, around the Brentford players, and you'll get all of them, right? You can see that Palace, this is going from above to going down, are definitely more expansive than Brentford. And as again, Woodward said earlier, look how high the fullbacks are. Daniel Muniz is all up in Brentford's business. Look how much time he's spending on that right wing. He's spending so much more time in their half than they are in his half, that he's pinning back. And I would suggest, I didn't get to see the game, but if his heat map is like this, I suggest that he's pinning their midfielders, their defense back. So you see Muniz is here. So who's on their wings? So not on their. So their left centre back is Van der Berg. Look where he is. Christopher Ayer. Okay, well he's pinned back. Is it Christopher Ayer that's there? Jeez. And probably explains why Kevin Schade didn't get into the box too much. They'll have to help each other out. He spends a lot of time in their box. Same way as Tariq Mitchell. Not as much as Tariq Mitchell. Not as much as Muniz, but both very, very offensive fullbacks. Obviously, they play with two 10s. Yeremy Pino spend a lot more. Allows Yeremy Pino to be to spend a lot of time in the final third. Jefferson Lerma, look how much time he gets spent in the penalty box as well. A lot more time than Tonali did against Atletico. Ishmael Sarr, a little bit more time in the penalty box. He's advanced as well. And obviously Mateta all up in that penalty box. So they've kept their fullbacks high and wide, and that's allowed them their forwards to advance and put Brentford under pressure, which I think caused them to fold like this in terms of trying to spending more time in a defensive kind of posture against Palace. So what for me, Newcastle knows that we're going to have to be aggressive. We're going to have to push them back. Our fullbacks are going to have to possibly push forward as well. And our midfielders are going to have to push forward as well. Well, that's one of the solutions anyway. Man City game. Let's have a look at the Man City game. Let me go back. City. Again, it's an away loss. Erling Haaland did his thing. City are slightly different because City kept possession. I think they had 60% of the possession. Brentford, as you can see here, are on the left. Is it? Yeah. In the red, and City are on the right. The first thing I kind of notice is, when I noticed the possession, I think, like I said, City had 60% of the possession. So that's what allowed them to have control over the ball. It didn't stop Brentford from hitting the ball over the top, but it was very limited what they were able to do in the damage caused. Kevin Schade, again on the edges of the box, but not too much. Igor Thiago, he was limited as well, as were their midfielders. So apart from Schade and Thiago, who were all on the edge of the City box, he was very, very limited, even though Marco Coyote was doing his best to support, spending a lot of time in that City area as well. But you can see City, what did City do? Again, 2 fullbacks in, who is this? Nico O'Reilly. Nico O'Reilly's playing like an AM as an attacking midfielder, as a 10. This is City from going from down to up, right? So he's spending nearly most of his time in that Brentford. So really the best from the common theme so far is between City and Palace. Attack is your when it comes to versus Brentford. Attack is your best form of defense, and your fullbacks are going to help you with that. O'Reilly here, and this is goodness gracious, Mateus Nunes. So whoever plays for us, and this might be a call for Lewis Hall. I don't know about his fitness, and I don't know if Eddie Howe would want to sacrifice Burn because of all the set pieces that Brentford could take. But their fullbacks are very, very key in allowing their guys to push up as well. Look how high Oscar Bob gets to spend because Nunes spends so much time this high up and he's running up and down that allows their right winger, Oscar Bob, to literally just stay in the opposition half. Same for Reinders. He's their advanced 8. Haaland is Haaland. Look at what Haaland, all up in that penalty box. All up in that penalty box. Oscar Bob from the right. Who's this? Savino on the left. A lot of time in the final third. Who's their 47? Phil Foden. A lot of time in the final third. Obviously, that's Haaland. Who's their 16? Obviously, Rodri protecting the back with their centre back. So they just trusted Vardio and Ruben Diaz, who again were still spending time in the second phase of the game the majority of the time. But they literally entrusted Vardio and Mr. Who did I say was it Diaz? Yeah, Diaz to look after Sade and Thiago Silva. So however you slice it, you're going to have to be aggressive against Brentford. Otherwise, you're going to get battered pillar to post. If you don't want corners against you or long throws against you, you have to limit the amount of time Brentford spend in your half by being offensive yourself. And being offensive at this moment in time is not Newcastle's strong point. Being aggressive in the press at this moment in time is not Newcastle's strong point. We've been strategic, but I think this is the wrong game to be strategic, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to go quickly to the tactics board, but let me see what you guys are saying in the chat quickly. Dave says, I know Usola is raw, but would we not be better? Would we not be more? Would we not be more dangerous with him as a number 9 and Voldemort as a 10 in a 4-2-3-1? Quick question: which midfielder would you sacrifice for that to happen? I rate Usola as well, but I think he's got a twisted ankle, or he's hurt his ankle. It's why he didn't play against Club Athletic, so he might not be available for this one. But it's not a bad call. Dave says, with that, you could push up if you have the ball, i.e. Dan Burn, and still have a solid back 3. So that's how you're seeing it. Okay. So you're seeing it as Burn, Botman, Chow. Okay. With Hall, I assume Hall and Kieran Trippier. So who would you have? So who would you have in the middle? It's 5-3-2. Okay, so Bruno Tonali, Joelinton, I assume, Voldemort, and it can't be a Suda, unfortunately. Probably Barnes. Do you know what? I could live with that, Dave. That might be something. I could live with that. Wilbur says, Phil, it's fun watching you struggle with this, honestly. Now you know what it feels like to chase a result against a team that's good, sitting deep, and every efficient and dangerous catching a high line, and very dangerous and efficient in catching a high line in transition. We've struggled with that last season. Bournemouth battered us, Fulham beat us, doing all of that last season as well, but we didn't have this quickest centre backs. What do you think of the 5-3-2 that Dave suggested? But yeah, it's going to be, honestly, I think however we slice it, our fullbacks pushing up, our offense, our best form of defense is going to be our offense, honestly. That's like the common theme here. Dave says, yes, Philip, if Osolo's out, Barnes and Elanga would be a good shout. Okay, so let's do this. Let me see if you guys can see this. Okay, you can. Okay, so I didn't get time to set up, but I'll do it as quickly as I can. I haven't got too much time, so let's just get it. Brentford. Who's sick? I think their squad is mainly fit. You guys let me know. So yeah, they've got them in this 4-2-3-1. I'm going to do the thing first where they break on us, because that's going to be the set pieces are the set pieces. Like, it's going to be the battle of the set pieces. We've got our own set piece coach as well, so they're going to be front and center in this game as well. So starting lineup, guys. Who plays? Who plays for you? It's been suggested 5-3-2, 5-3-2. For the sake of what we know so far, I'm going to just keep with what we know. If I have more time, I'll try the 5-3-2. We'll see how it goes anyway. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to say Gordon's not playing. He came off injured. So I'm going to say Gordon's not playing. Botman, Chow, Trippier, Bruno, Tonali, Joelinton, Voldemar, Barnes. How? Let me know, guys. Does Barnes stay on the right and Elanga go on the left? I don't think that's going to happen. I think Murphy plays, and I'm thinking, who are these players? These Brentford players. Lewis Hall. If Lewis Hall, I wish he was. I don't know. Can he start? That's the big question. Can Lewis start? Can Wissa start? That's the other big question. I'll click him in anyway. Elanga, Murphy, Willock. We haven't seen him, Willock. Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsey, Lewis Miley. I think Osola is not fit, so I won't use him just yet. So it'll probably be Barnes on the left and Murphy on the right. Already I'm like, oof, I don't know, but we'll see. So we've already seen Brentford's biggest threat. Brentford's biggest threat is if we're caught in this situation. Where's the ball? We're caught in this situation. We're pressing. How are we going to do this? Barnes, Joelinton, Barnes, Burns going to be right here, I think, for sure. Botman, Chow. This is going to be the key one. And you're probably going to get Trippier here. It's like, which way is Voldemar going to try and press? Which passing channel? Because Yarmulke's got a delivery. Damsgaard, I think, is going to be key. I think we have to avoid the ball getting to Damsgaard in at all costs because of his ability on the ball and his willingness to, hit risky passes. Because essentially, where is it? The tab. Why is the tab? This tabby thing is in the way. I can't do my why can't I do my table thingy? Can't do my table, but I was going to highlight the back here. There's this space. Thiago is looking to get right through here or in and around there. And not just Thiago, Sade as well. Sade and Trippier one-on-one, not good. So we know Trippier's not going to win that race. So Chow's going to be there. Botman's going to be there. This is going to be the key. And Ouattara Burn, that's the other one, if we're not careful. So we want to be able to avoid all of that. So Joelinton is going to have to be on his best behavior as well. So which side are we going to block? Which side is Voldemort? Which passing lane is? Who are we going to try to get the ball off to? Collins is good on the ball. We can come out of it as well. Berger's good on the ball as well. So it's all to play for, because if, for instance, Voldemort cuts off the passing lane to Collins and Barnes is here, it gets to Berger. Gomes tries to come in, but he either hits it long and it's going to be a one-on-one with Sade and Chow, or a one-on-one with Thiago and Botman and Chow, or if we're really unlucky, Ouattara and Burn. That's the other threat if we're not careful, right? If Ouattara plays. But I personally think, so I've gone for a very aggressive press. Like I've said, I feel like we need to be very, very aggressive. I think we need to force it in a situation where I would even have Trippier as higher as Aya, for instance, in this situation, and go 2-on-2. Maybe keep Burn here if you have to, depending if they want to go to the left. And if they want to go to the right, via Collins, have Joelinton step up, have Burn step up. Have a shift over here, Botman, Chow, Trippier, and it'd be there. Some people might want to go from mid-block, because then it's a harder ball to hit. It's a smaller space of uncertainty for them to get between the backline and the goalkeeper. But it also allows them to play out from the back, which I don't know how interested Brentford are in that as well. But we have direct players of our own. Our problem is that we haven't been clinical as well. Possession is going to have to be our friend. We're going to have to bring our possession game out as well. Somehow. The other threat that we pose is, let's have, what I was going to say, fullbacks. So when we have the ball, what we're going to have to do, not just out of possession, but in possession. And what we saw Palace and, Palace and City do is be very, very aggressive in their press. So Tonali marking Damsgaard or the other way around, and force Sade to have to follow Trippier, for instance, have Burn in these advanced areas as well. This is going to have to happen. So either give the option for Murphy and or Barnes to go out wide, or to drop in, which Barnes would prefer on this side. So Joelinton kind of takes up these positions out wide, with Barnes going inside next to Voldemort. So at least you've got players around Voldemort. You'd have Henderson versus Gomes, Tonali versus Damsgaard. But Joelinton against Yarmouk, or on the side of Coyote, who's really, really good. And we have to be very careful on this side. Coyote's pace and athleticism together with Ouattara's. That's going to be something to watch out for as well. Can we get these triangles going? Can we get overloads going on this side as well? Joelinton forcing Yarmouk and the others to have to go back and defend. Those things are going to have to happen a lot. Otherwise, if we get caught in the possession here, boom, Yarmouk, Thiago, and Botman are going to have to look after him. That's going to be the key. It's in how we do it. But this is going to be absolutely vital. Do we have time to do a 5-3-2? Let's try a 5-3-2, as was suggested. So Botman, Chow, So who would it be? Who would it be? Who would it be? Who did you say to take off? It would be Burn. It would be one of the forwards. All right. So we'll keep Barnes. We'll take off We'll take off Murphy, and we play Burn back, and we play. So how would it look? So it'd be Chow, Botman, Burn. We would have Hall playing instead. I might be in agreement here with what Dave suggested. My only issue with the 5-3-2s, if they're not played right, it becomes a containment job. And what we're asking for is an aggressive 5-3-2. And we've already had issues of not being aggressive, right? I like the 5-3-2 because you still got that safety with Burn and Botman. And you do have the option of Burn stepping up to meet Ouattara, for instance, and we can shuffle over like this, which is fine. And then we can also create these overloads if we can with Botman, Burn and Hall to get past Ouattara and hopefully to progress the ball with Hall and Joelinton and Barnes. And you want to be able to get this situation. You know, Hall has good crosses or doesn't mind playing the 1-2s and advancing himself, or even tucking in himself, allowing Barnes to get even closer with Automata and others, either Joelinton on the left or forcing it through and trying to cause these overloads. So I don't mind the 5-3-2 in that situation. My only thing is that, again, my worry is that it'll become a containment job. We're trying to contain Brentford. At the same time, Brentford don't want the ball that much either, but I don't want to be in a situation where we're doing almost the same thing against West Ham, even though that wasn't a 5-3-2. So if we do a 5-3-2 and Hall plays, which I would really like, Hall and Trippier, that'd be really, really good. My only worry is that it turns into a containment job. And it probably won't even be Burn stepping up like this. It'd probably be Botman and Burn and Chow hitting in the back, staying in the back as well, or either or, really, isn't it? So there's options there. But guys, send in your score predictions. Send in your score predictions. We've got 5 minutes to go. Send in your score predictions. You can probably hear from the sound of my voice. I don't like hearing the sound of my own voice when it's this uncertain. When Newcastle haven't won a game away, when other stats I didn't even know about come up, where we're one of the fastest teams on the break, or and we're one of the ones that haven't scored any. We've had 10 breaks, and we're the only ones that haven't scored anything. And Brentford, from their 12 or 11, have scored 4. So that's going to be the key one. We didn't mention their set pieces, but the best way to avoid those long throw-ons and corners is to be offensive yourself, is to be in your opponent's face as well, having your fullbacks high up. I would love for Hall to be available to start. That could solve 1,000 problems. But it's how it's employed. Or the other one is we still play Hall, but we don't do the 5-3-2. We do the 4-4, the usual 4 at the back. But what would happen is I can't see him putting down Burn for this game. That's the only problem. I can't see him putting Burn away because of the set pieces. It would have to be Botman. This is a call. So it'll be Botman and Chow, Hall, and we need one more on the right. Either Murphy or Elanga. It'll probably be Murphy at this stage. So we keep the 4-4-2, and we have one extra attacker here, providing the overloads of Murphy. With our fullbacks either playing high. The options of Hall as well, because he can play on the inside like this as well. We can add an extra man in midfield and create these overloads as well, because Hall is really, really good on the inside. So even if Ouattara wants to be dangerous and wants to be around or protect, he has to watch out for Hall, who's in the middle here. Because if he doesn't look after Hall, you get these type of situations where both Barnes and Voltemada can cause these overloads in the middle as well. So I'm going to meet you guys somewhere in the middle. I can't see how doing the 5-3-2. Oh, what's happened there? It's all gone pear-shaped. But I can't see how doing the 5-3-2. He might sacrifice Botman if he was to play Hall. I see him playing Burn. But let me know, guys, what your predictions are for the game, and I'll tell mine right at the end. Let me get a drink of water. Everything's against us in this game, but again, this is what could make up for if we do win, this could make up for a good start to the season. Not start to the season, but to the international break. Aaron says, I do wonder with Murphy playing more midweek and Sade versus Trips in transition being an issue. I do wonder if Ilanga gets a chance. I know he's out of form, but I fancy him against Aya. That's a good call. That's a good call right there. Could be. Yeah, could be something actually. Robodrug says, Phil, I remember saying this last season. Fullbacks are the marginal advantage for teams. And I didn't fully get why that was the case. And you know what? As a gentleman, Sean Casey on X, he made a statement saying, are fullbacks more important than tens? That's how far he went with it. And I asked the same questions on Spurs Kings the other day. And I think it's true. I think they are. Warbodrug says, I think overall league quality improved in teams of ability to nullify opposing teams and midfields. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the main answer as to why the fullbacks are more important. Dave says, yes, Philip, 5-3-2 only works if we are aggressive. But who plays when that's my I want a good example of a team that plays an aggressive 5-3-2. Thanks for sending in your scores. Adrian says 2-2. Yeah. Warbodrug says 2-1 Brentford set piece and a long throw. Yeah, I don't blame you for going for that. They've gone for 2-1. Aaron says, I don't see Hall starting, to be honest. Yeah, it's a long shot. Okay. Jeez, I hate being this like this before a game. I proper hate it because the stakes are high. We're chasing the result. Warbodrug said it. Eddie Howe said it. Eddie Howe said it himself. I didn't want to be in this position where I'm having to chase a result. No, he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he did say that. He did say that. And we haven't won a game away. And Brentford are the wrong team to play at G-Tech. Thanks, Dave. Great show, Philip. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Dave. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with my heart over my head, I suppose. Two on Newcastle. I'm gonna go for 2-1 Newcastle. 2-1 Newcastle. I'm gonna go for a Lewis Hall special. He's gonna assist. I'm gonna hope he starts. Somebody starts. I can see a Kieran Trippier assist. I'll go for a. I wish I knew how Brentford conceded most of their goals. I'm going to go for Voltamada. I'm going to go for Voltamada Joelinton goals. That's what I'm going to do. Warbledrug says, tears in my eyes like watching myself. Did you give your predictions, Warbledrug? Let me know. Dave says, I think you said 2-1 to Brentford. You did say it. Dave says 2-1 for Tamara and Tonali. Yeah, we're both thinking the same thing. Someone from the midfield's got to pull their bootstraps. All right, folks. So 2-1. So, folks, we had a fantastic show. We did the review for the Club Atletico game. We did it through the lens of, big up Michael. Good to see you. God bless you. Yo, Philip. We will draw on Sunday. Hope I'm wrong. Well, it's better than losing. I'll tell you that. I'll go for a 2-1. Let me know your goal scorers, Michael. We've done the review for the Club Athletic game, and through the lens of the West Ham game, did the players improve? Marginal improvements, like you can't get any lower from what you've seen at West Ham. But there's real concerns about our midfield, from my perspective, our midfielders physically, not in their passing necessarily, but in their involvement in the opposition half. They're not there enough. They're not in the final third, and they're not in the penalty box enough. And I think that hurts us in our goal scoring and our threat in the opposition half. Even though we had a good XG in that game as well. And in possession, when we were getting pressed, that was a bit of a worry. So things to improve there. Brentford are an excellent team. They're even better at home. Very direct, low possession, but very direct and very good in their turnovers. So expect a high pressing Brentford. It's not going to be Newcastle playing out the back and it's going to be a Brentford mid-block or low block. I don't expect that to happen. Expect the ball over the top from a Damsgaard, a Yamaluk, a Henderson, to a Thiago or a Ouattara or to a Sade. It's going to be a foot race between either Chow, Botman, Burn, whoever's in the back, and possibly our goalkeeper having to do that. But expect those to happen. Who's going to be there? Who's going to win that race is going to be very, very important. But I think the best way to beat Brentford, if we're going to take anything from the teams that have beaten them, granted they were at home when those teams played them, City and Palace, high fullbacks, high intensity, pinning back Brentford, keeping them in as close to their own box as possible by pushing up your fullbacks, pinning them back, and pushing up your own wingers as well as your own midfielders, congesting that midfield, but in an aggressive way, getting your eights up into the final thirds is the only way. And you have to risk it. You have to risk it in one-on-ones with your CBs. You have to risk it on the chance that your midfield and your forwards are doing their job in their press. It's going to have to be that kind of game. I'm backing Newcastle to do it. Voltamada, Joelinton with the goals is what I'm backing to see. I know Michael said, what's happening to Joelinton? Voltamada and Murphy. You got Voltamada and Murphy to win. Who did I say? I said Voltamada and Joelinton. I got Voltamada and Joelinton with the goals. And I've backed them to win 2-1. That's my heart saying it. And a few of you have gone for the wins as well. Some of you for the draws. We can't bring ourselves to say a loss because that would just be crazy. But we've backed Newcastle to win. But as always, folks, you've been absolutely amazing. Hopefully, we'll see Newcastle come through and beat Brentford and get our season back on track. I've backed it. You've backed it. So Newcastle, boys, they've got to do the business themselves. They got to do the business as well, and I think they will. As always, folks, guys, look after yourselves as you always do. Take care, and God bless, folks.